Hi everyone, welcome to Our Focus is You. Today we have a really fun show planned. My name is Tina Paulus Kraus.
Hi everyone, Ken Collins.
Today we're going to talk about the mirror. So very excited about that. Before we get to that though, Ken, what's going on? What you been doing lately?
Well, Labor Day is quickly upon us, and how quickly that
Crazy.
summer has gone by, and so we're making plans to do the final activities as a family together here for before everyone leaves for school and things like that. And it's especially different in our household because my daughter Vanessa is on her way to Whitewater, and so we have
yeah.
move-in day on the Sunday before Labor Day.
Nice.
And so
That's a big
that'll
life
be
adjustment.
interesting. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. And then also too, the end of summer is always an energizing time for me as a big sports fan. But you got football season again, so you got the Packers in the air, the Badgers, and our Sun Prairie football team isn't too shabby as well.
Yes,
So
yep.
it's a pretty exciting time. I think football in general has marketed perfectly because they keep the season short,
Yeah.
so that when you don't have it, you crave it for that
Right.
long period of time. But really, that's what's going on in my world. How about
Okay.
yours?
We just finished on the 27th, finished the first workshop. I talked about it a little bit at the last episode, and it was a huge success. Really excited about it. So I'd like to say that I'm going to sleep over Labor Day because I've been nonstop getting that ready for the last couple of months. But actually, we gotta ramp back up and get ready for an October one. So we have another one coming on October 22nd, and I'm hoping that people that were there on Saturday are super excited and go and spread the word because we had major inspiration and we cracked open a lot of hearts and really had some great progress and some great experiences. So excited for that. And then the 6-week program comes right after that. So as soon as we get done with that August 22nd workshop, I have a 6-week online program that I'm going to be offering. So I'm just busy.
Oh, exciting times.
Yeah, very exciting.
All right.
Yeah. So today we are going to talk about the mirror. Last episode we talked about it a little bit. The mirror is one of the tools that we use. There's probably a lot more of them out there, but it's an interesting concept. So I'd like to hear kind of your thoughts about the mirror, Ken, and where you're at with things with it.
Well, we talked about in the last episode about self-awareness and going through the exercise of reflection and getting our thoughts jotted down and things like that. But one of the derailers when we try to become self-aware is this negative self-talk.
Yes.
And how to guard against that.
I'm like the queen of that I used to be.
Well, we all are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone escapes it. Is who manages it best? And I think you manage it best when you become comfortable in your skin.
Right.
And so we've talked about, the mirror exercise. Everything starts in the mirror. And so I think you must see value in yourself in order to add value to yourself. So we talked about everything begins in this glass plate that, whoa, a lot of work to do there.
Yeah, there is. Ditto. I look at that thing a lot myself.
Uh-oh. So
the thing about the mirror is you can't lie to yourself in the mirror, right? So when you're having those negative thoughts and telling yourself a bad story, just go look in the mirror and try and tell yourself that story that you know isn't true, and you always catch yourself because you can't lie to yourself.
no, again, there's research that shows that positive self-esteem is the single most important characteristic in a person's behavior. Again, on how they respond to themselves, but also to others. And so we're going to talk a little bit in the first 15 minutes of our segment about how to face those limiting self-beliefs,
Right.
and through self-reflection and things like that. And then what could you go through a process to overcome the negativity that will flare up
Right.
from time to time, and telling you that you're tired in a 5K run and walk the last mile. Oh no,
Yeah.
no. How do you tell yourself
Yeah.
to keep going and things like that? Or in daily life situations where you just want to throw in the towel. And no, hang on to that towel. Let's just redirect the towel.
Yeah. The self-esteem thing is huge. It's big. I think that a lot of people really struggle with that confidence and self-esteem. And the good news is that there's tools out there that you can really learn to use to build confidence and to build that self-esteem. I think that once you get that self-esteem right inside, like so many things open up.
Yeah, and then once we peer away from the mirror, then the second half of the show will be we both have a couple of tools that will help walk you through some of the things we talked about in self-awareness last show, and then set us up for moving forward in our journey and moving from the arrow we are here to where is this road we're taking. and how do we get to some things that are more satisfactory to us and providing us greater healthy awareness and things like that.
So there's lots of barriers to self-esteem that I want to talk about. So like, what do you think the biggest barrier to self-esteem is?
I think the biggest barrier, well, I think there's several.
There are
actually.
several, yes, I agree.
I think we mentioned this in the last show, the perfection gap. You know, again, if you're not comfortable with yourself, you can become very defensive. And then really trying to be perfect to yourself and others leads to dissatisfaction in how your attitude shapes your views for life. And so it's not that, you know, what is perfect?
It's an evil word. That's what perfect is, I think. I think the perfect goes with the negative self-talk, right? In this quest to be perfect, because it's really, really hard to hit that perfection on an ongoing basis. What happens is you end up feeling I'm not worthy, because you try and do something and it's still not perfect, and we build the story in our head that says we're not worthy, and that's what hits that self-esteem. And so I love the tools that we're going to talk about today, because it really takes that, it really helps you take that perfectionism and maybe how we've always thought about it in the past and really start turning it around, because there are ways that in your head that you can think about perfectionism and be able to just let it go and know that it's better to be done than it is to be perfect. If I would have waited for perfect to start my retreat, I never would have started it. I never would have started planning it. I never would have put that date on because I didn't have everything ready and completely to go. I booked that date and I didn't have one thing ready for that retreat. But I had to do that to get myself moving, to get the confidence to move forward with it.
No, and I think if God had perfection in his recipe, he would have created robots, not human beings.
Yeah, good point.
So we all bring a uniqueness to the world. Basically on who we are, the things we've experienced, who we've run across in our lifetime, what we've learned over, you know, all those things makes us unique.
We're unique, but what happens is that box that we talk about of that perfection of, you know, people, the way we should act and the way we should look and think, and, you know, as we grow up and move through life, we have to think that we have to be that. But when we're not that, that's what hits that self-esteem. And so that perfection piece of it, yeah, we are all unique, but as we grow up, we kind of get that beat out of us, right? Because we feel like we have to be a certain way. And when we talk about authenticity and being your true you, that happens when you can let go of having to be perfect and let go of having to make sure that everything's just right before I move forward. That's fear. That's just fear holding you back from what you want to do in life.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think seeing the flaws first is becoming front and center more than we need it to be. And again, it's our environment that we're all involved in it, you know. So the media wants to tell you what's wrong with things first in the first 15 minutes. I mean, we have a presidential primary campaigns going on that first is telling what's wrong with each, you know, it's flaw-based. And so I just think this negativity kind of fuels society to look for what's wrong. You know, what's wrong with law enforcement instead of what's good about it. And we pick those little instances to say, oh no, that's what happens all the time. We do that to ourselves in the mirror too.
It's a judgment, right? Judgment is huge. So, you know, a situation happens, you see it on the news or you hear it at work, or, you know, kids bring it home from school, whatever it is, and we immediately judge. And we know one side of the story, and it's just human nature to judge. And when we can stop judging and go, okay, I need to back up here. I'm not going to judge that situation because I don't know it, and I'm going to look for what's good about that situation. It shifts our mind and it shifts our thinking from always going directly to the negative to, okay, I get that that was a bad situation, but what was good about it? There has to be something good about it, and let's focus on that. And it's just it's amazing how it shifts your thinking.
No, and pessimism, optimism, negativity, all those things kind of takes place very early on. And so there's a statistic I usually share when I'm talking with groups about this, but when you talk about negativity, here's something to think about here it's kind of interesting. So the research has said that by the time we're age 17, we heard the word no 150,000 times. Mom, I probably broke the record. I heard all that by age 7. But anyway, we also then hear the word yes by age 17 5,000 times. And so it's a 30-to-1 ratio of no. And if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. So as toddlers and as parents, the word no pops up quite a bit. And it's usually as toddlers when we're very curious, exploring and searching for independence. No, don't go in there. No, don't touch that. No, don't do that.
Right. That's that beating it out of you, right?
And as toddlers, it's like we have a no shield. It bounces off of us. As we get older, though, we're a sponge. We soak in those, and they have major effects on us. It's very strange how that transition goes.
Right.
But again, it's another basis for don't blame yourself for those negative self-talks. I mean, there's several forces around us in environment and culture and society that's creating this. What we can control is ourselves, though.
Right. Did you know that women, and I can't remember the exact number, but I recently saw somewhere that a female has between 50 and 70,000 negative thoughts on a daily basis, and thoughts in general, and then a very high percentage, I think it was like 60 or 70% of those thoughts are negative. And a lot of that is about ourselves, right? I'm not worthy, I'm not beautiful, I'm not, smart enough, all that kind of stuff. And that's powerful. That's powerful, and that creates kind of that low self-esteem that I think that we end up having, or the confidence and the lack of confidence to really get through that comfort zone and push through that fear. So really it's just understanding and being aware, like we talked about in the last segment. Awareness is so huge that, oh my gosh, for the last 20 minutes I've been thinking negative, negative, negative. And catching yourself and being able to turn that around into a positive way. Because those thoughts are going to be there. They're going to always be there because we got monkey brains going. But there is a way to help kind of tame that down, and you can get control of it.
Yeah, so let's help our viewers for a little bit here. Let's talk about, so how do we overcome negative self-talk? Yeah. What are some of the things there? I think the first one that comes to mind is don't compare yourself to others.
Right.
Value the uniqueness of yourself and others, and be comfortable with who you are. But all too often, we'll do comparisons. Just a quick story, I ran a 5K recently in Sun Prairie I talked about here, and so part of why I wear earplugs and iPods to hear music is if I don't, I'm paying attention to how fast maybe someone's going, or if I'm not going fast enough, and if I'm not careful, it'll cause me to adjust how I'm going about things. If I just stick with my game plan, and I have a game plan typically, I will be satisfied with that outcome. If I try to be somebody else, typically the outcome's not what you had hoped, kind of thing. And so there's an analogy there. But what other, how do we overcome?
I think another thing is just celebrating your small victories. Because again, that perfectionism, right? So like I'm not successful until I'm perfect in erasing and wiping out all of my negative thoughts. Well, that's unrealistic because we're human, right? So I think just being able to celebrate those small victories of, okay, yesterday I sat in that negativity for a half an hour, and today I was able to turn that around and I only sat in it for 25 minutes. I still sat in it for 25 minutes, and in the past I would focus on that. The fact that I didn't sit in it for the full amount of time, because that's not perfect, right? But I caught myself 5 minutes faster. So that's the small victory, is that I got it sooner, and then maybe tomorrow it'll be 20 minutes and the next day 15, until suddenly I'm catching it right away. And so you have to be able to celebrate those small victories, whether it's a race or whether it's your internal thoughts or whatever, a job promotion at work, whatever it is, you have to be able to celebrate them.
Yeah, not only celebrate, but seek out quick wins.
Yeah.
Set yourself up in a position to where you're going to succeed. And then at the end of the day, whether you're at the dinner table or sitting on the couch reflecting to yourself, don't start out with what all went wrong today. Start out first with what went well today.
Yeah, I love the word venting, right? So in the past, as a leader, you have a lot of people come in, I just want to vent, I just want to vent. Or your kids come home from school, or your spouse comes home from school, just venting, just venting. We have to be really careful of the venting, because it's easy to say, I'm not being negative, I'm venting. But what you're doing is you're taking and you're like venting all of that negative energy and all of that negativeness and toxic and how you're feeling emotionally, you're portraying that onto the other person. So, if I'm at home and I'm having a great day at home and my spouse comes home and all of a sudden it's like bam, 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 and yelling, mad about the day and screaming and yelling about everything that went wrong, that's not healthy. It's not healthy for that spouse to bring that home, and it's not healthy to stand and listen to that, because it's not venting. There are ways to get around that so that you don't have those kinds of emotional reactions.
Yeah, and I think one last thing as far as overcoming is that, I do it myself. So
Yeah.
I'm very intentional about things I do and I'm a part of, because if you're intentional, write them down and zero in on them. Things usually happen.
Right.
If you wait until there's time to do stuff, well, I didn't have time to do all those things. And so I'm very intentional. One of the things I'm intentional about every day is adding value to others. So the other way you can bring some energy to yourself and positivity is doing something good for somebody else.
Right.
And adding value, looking for the good that you can provide to somebody else rather than looking at what's wrong with everybody else.
Right, right. You never know what's going on in someone else's life, right? So in the course of your daily interactions with people, you know, we run into people that are, you know, they might be mad, they're sad, they're, you know, something just happened to them, a personal life crisis, whatever it might be. But if we don't know that and we take that reaction that they're having towards us and just judge that only on itself, now we're judging that person. And so it's a really great point that, you know, you have impact on people every day, anybody that you meet. So why not create positive impact, and why not, you know, lift people up instead of helping or enabling them to continue to take themselves down. So it's it's about helping people along the way. I think that that's what's so great about what we're doing here, is that, you know, I was in that negative and that toxic for years and years and years. And through the course of kind of rising up out of that, what you realize is that I want to teach other people how to do this. I want to help others to do this. And so I'm very intentional when I'm with somebody, or when I'm with people most of the time, that I want to create positive impact. I want to leave them feeling better than when they came, kind of thing. And I think, imagine what it would be like if everybody did that.
That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
That's why we're a tag team.
Yeah.
No, and I think lastly, you know, we do dictate our attitude and our perception of others on how we feel. And so if you focus each day by doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah.
Just that simple act of a decision or a choice or a gesture that was the right thing to do really works wonders.
Yeah, yeah.
If you bypass some of those things, and typically you do if you're a little more self-centered and inward focused, you may have a different outcome. But again, a very simple thing like do the right thing.
Right. I think, you know, doing the tough stuff, even though it's tough, right? It's so easy. You have a bad day at work, or you come home and you just want to sit on the couch and not exercise and not eat right and stuff like that, because that's easy. It's easy to sit in that. It's comfortable, or get on the phone and talk bad, you know, or whatever it might be. That stuff is easy. So doing the tough stuff is not allowing yourself to go to the couch. It's no, I'm going to exercise. It's no, I'm going to have a healthy meal. It's no, I'm not going to let these negative thoughts, you know, ruin my day or ruin somebody else's day. And so I think what this does is it kind of takes us into a little bit of the tools section, because what I've found is, you know, you got to have those tools, because I said in the last episode, the craziness and the monkey mind doesn't go away. You just, through some of these tools, you learn how to control the emotions and control kind of your forward path.
Monkey mind. I like that phrase. I like monkeys too.
Yeah.
But tools, you kind of, now you have me interested here. Do you have a tool to share with us?
Right. Well, I am affirmations are kind of a big one for me. I do them every single day. I probably do them throughout the day. And that kind of goes back to the perfectionism and fighting that perfectionism all the time. So that box that we talk about, you have to be a certain way, look a certain way, and I've really tried to be myself, right, and to be true you, and to be authentic and everything. And so in order to do that, you have to tell yourself good stuff, right? So in the past, you know, if I couldn't do something, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not worthy, or whatever it is, every day in the mirror, saying, I am worthy, I am smart, I am beautiful. Those I am affirmations, I can do this, I am strong enough to do this, and saying those over and over and over to yourself is a tool that has helped me tremendously, because I didn't believe those tools in the beginning, right? So I'd look myself in the mirror and I'd go, you're strong, you're beautiful. No, you're not. And I'd tell, that's that banter that happens inside and how you talk to yourself. And so you have to be really, really conscious about how you're talking to yourself and what you're saying to yourself. And when you constantly say, I am smart, I am beautiful, I am worthy, I can do this, say those over and over and over, and you're going to believe them one day. You might not believe them in the beginning, but one day you will believe them. And it's just been a huge tool that's really helped me stand in my truth. It's helped me be more confident about myself, and it's just really kind of helped me navigate through all the negative stuff and find a happier and a positive way.
So that's all very interesting and a unique approach to things too. So do you want to walk the audience through the steps of the worksheet that you have there real briefly? And then I have one to share as well.
Why don't you share yours? Because the worksheet that I have is the next one. The I am affirmations, that was up there. It's just really, it's that mirror work, talking in the mirror. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good.
So let's talk about your.
Okay, well, I have a worksheet that I work with groups when I do workshops on self-discovery, and that is discovering your significance. And I talked about it in the previous episode here, is as we do a self-evaluation, self-awareness exercise, there's really 3 circles that I like to work in. And one is, what are your giftedness? What are you naturally talented at? What are your natural behavioral traits? What are your natural personality traits? What skills have you developed over time? Because we're not stagnant as we grow and learn, things continue to evolve. And so really you're looking at your strengths here. What makes you you?
Right.
And then the other circle, and you know, it's kind of interesting, we got an Olympic theme here with the 3 rings. For the Olympics are going on.
I love the heart in the middle, by the way. That's awesome.
Yeah. It is passion. So what gets you out of bed in the morning? What are you really juiced about? What doesn't seem like work or effort or exercise to you? And so that is really, the passion part is really fueled by the heart. And so once the heart is speaking to you, it's
now you're open.
You're naturally going to gravitate there. No question about that. And then thirdly, in the last circle is it's more external view instead of internal, but what are the opportunities that places you in an environment or around people who have the same gifts, the same passions? You're able to learn from them. Also, another key is in those opportunities, if maybe there's some things you're not naturally gifted at, those like-minded people might be too, so they're very complementary to you, which also makes you feel really good about what you're participating in or the direction you're going, because again, it's striking the heart.
Right.
And so when you take those intersections of those 3 circles, you get the sweet spot. And again, it's all driven by the heart, not the mind.
Right.
And when something's driven by the heart, happiness sets in. When happiness sets in, so does satisfaction and all those kinds of things.
Right.
And so I don't believe it's an exercise that you do once in your lifetime and then poof, you're done.
Yeah, it's ongoing.
Things change all the time for all of us. And so I think it's good to recalibrate every year even.
Yeah.
So depending on the individual or who you are, it's a great exercise. What I would caution is on the perfection side is don't try to perfect this.
No.
So I did this exercise about 4 or 5 years ago for the first time, and it has shaped who I am and where I went today to like perfection. If I showed you this, you would think I wrote it yesterday, not 4 or 5 years ago. But what really happened out of it, I got it on paper, I flushed, I declared. When you declare and write something, you're going to act on it.
Journaling is huge, right?
Yeah. Then when you declare in the form of telling someone about it, you went to the next level.
Yeah.
Acting now takes you there. And so what was interesting along the way is it reshapes and recalibrates. Basically, the essence is there, but don't worry about perfection. Just push that boat away from the dock and go.
And just write.
Yeah. Because the big key in all of this, you can jot all this down on paper, but if you don't turn ideas and thoughts into action, you just kind of keep doing what you've always done. And if that's the life you want or the things you're involved in, then fine.
Right.
If you're looking to change anything about that to bring greater satisfaction and happiness, you got to push that boat away from the dock.
You got to do the hard work.
Yep.
Yeah, I love the heart analogy, because the next tool that I want to talk about is really just it's really more about meditation and journaling, kind of, Ken, where you were going. I love the sweet spot analogy. Before I could even get there, I needed to do some deep work on my own baggage that I was carrying. So a lot of things in my life, a lot of things that have happened over time. And like we always do, I push it down and push it down and push it down. And when we push all of that baggage down, it closes our heart. And so I couldn't even get to that until I went through and figured out all this baggage, and I was able to open up my heart. And so what this next template will do for you is it's really more about meditation. It's about exploring that baggage and finding what you own in each one of those things. Because when we have that baggage, we don't admit that we have that baggage. It's just there, and it affects all of our relationships. It affects our behaviors and how we react and everything else. So what this worksheet does is really it's just taking 15, 30 minutes a day maybe, and just really sitting in quiet and really thinking and asking yourself some really hard questions. And the questions are kind of out here, but what we're really trying to do is get you to stop the negative thoughts and to start using that energy to dig up the baggage and really start working with the baggage and working on the baggage to let it go. Because that's really the goal. We're trying to let that go so that we can open up our heart and get to what are my passions and where do I want to go in life. So really looking at what are those negative thoughts? How long did I sit in those negative thoughts? Journal it, write it down, keep a record. Because what you're going to find if you continue to focus on this is every day it's less and less. Because you're doing the hard work, you're focusing on it, what you focus on happens, right? It manifests itself out. So for me, when I was digging through that baggage and kind of bringing all that stuff up, and there's a lot more that kind of goes into it, so we're just kind of sharing this high level, but I had to let some things go. I had to have some difficult conversations with people. I had to clean some stuff up. I kind of had to clean house. When I did that and when I really focused on just getting that work out of the way, my heart opened up, and it was amazing what that meant and what that did. And that's when I went to kind of some of that work, right? Okay, so my heart's open now. What is my passion? What do I really want to do here? And what do I want my future to look like? And I was able to kind of address those questions.
Boy, Tina, just listening, that is a very complimentary package we just offered our audience. Right. To pull all this information together from the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And pull it into one. And the one is really the heart, which is the emotional side.
Totally. That's what this is all about,
yep.
right?
Yep. And I know some people watching may say, emotional. So there's some that are very emotional, and there's some that are suppress those emotions.
We are all emotional.
We all have emotions.
Yes.
We just express them differently.
Absolutely. And sometimes that means we don't express them.
So if you're more wired to suppress, that's where you got to be careful.
Right.
Because those people may not be outwardly saying how they feel about things,
right.
And that can bring some challenges.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting because as you kind of do some of this work, what I found was I was changing inside because I was really working through some stuff that I had needed to work on for a long time, and I started to change inside. When that happens, you have to really be ready for the fact that nothing else around you is changing. The people around you aren't changing. They're still in the same space in their journey. You're moving forward in your journey, but they're still in the same space. So you have to be patient, and you can't judge, right? You can't judge them for where they're at. That's where they're at. Stay in your swim lane kind of thing. But it's being understanding that everybody has their own path and everybody has their own journey, and the only journey that you can control is your own journey. Bottom line.
I really like this segment.
Yeah, again, I think we're out of time already.
Yeah, and we packaged this really nicely. Yeah. So I do have to do this for our friend Angela out there,
right.
But it wasn't Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, but it was chips and salsa.
We figured that's a safer bet.
And the spicy flavor, right?
Yeah. Right.
But at any rate, so now what we did is we talked about a sense of direction, where we are today on the map,
right,
and where we want to go tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the 2 episodes here, I think we have set the stage for that really nicely, and hopefully some thought-provoking things have come up for all of you to kind of sit back and think about.
Yeah. So what's next? What do we got? What's next?
Well, we're going to put a wrapper on this segment. Okay. So next episode, we're going to have a guest who, outside of Ken and Tina, will be able to bring some storytelling to the audience on their own experiences.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Self-awareness, self-discovery, to kind of give you a template. So no play on words, but we provided templates today. But now we're going to give some examples, and this will better help you come through this exercise that we're all doing here and putting things together, connecting the dots, so to speak.
Right, exactly, and that's what this is. I think the biggest takeaway, if anything today, is that you're not alone. You know, a lot of people kind of try and go through this journey on their own. You're not alone. That's why we're doing this segment and why we're here, because we want to help others kind of come along with us and build their spiritual toolbox and all that good stuff. So.
Yeah, and then after our guests, the episode after that in September will be on Be Curious in Action.
Right.
So maintaining that childhood mindset.
Yeah.
Experience, explore, no matter
Ask
how many
questions.
no's. There's 150,000 no's coming at you,
Yeah.
but don't stop.
Right.
Explore, learn, be curious, and maybe return to the childlike wide eyes of what's all out there to be explored and had.
Right. I call that standing in your truth.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm excited to talk about that next segment too.
All right.
All right. I
We
think
did it
that's
again.
it. Here we go. High fives.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Our
See you next
focus
time.
is you.